Hello, everybody. It's Connie Stewart with SimplySimpleStamping.com. I'm so glad you guys are here today because today Stampin' Up! Kicks off the brand new 2023-2024 annual catalog. And there's something really special inside this catalog, new colors. That's right. Stampin' Up! Has gone through a little color refresh. We all need a little refresh now and then, don't we? Well, we've gone through this little color refresh, and I am excited to teach you how to create a color coach so that you can learn how to work with new colors, how to combine colors. I've got this fantastic tool in a sweet little box for it to go into. I'm excited to teach this to you. So we're going to head over to the stamping table and create our own DIY color coach box. So to get started, the first thing you're going to want to do is to print off the color coach. Now, I printed mine onto copy paper. I do recommend that when you copy it, that you really work to put it on the best setting that you can on your printer so you can get the most out of those colors. You want to really be able to see them. And everything that you need is right here. And I am going to cut each of these pieces. And you can see there's 5 on each sheet. I want to cut those down to 3 by 4. Let me give you some tips for the cutting. So I'm actually going to start here on the left-hand side because I can see that straight line. And I'm just going to line that line up here in the track of my paper trimmer. Guys, perfection's not the name of the game. We're going to be mounting this. So if things aren't perfect, I'm not going to worry about it. All right, that gives me a great line to start with. Now we have that. Let's take this line right here. This is up here at the top. Again, I can see right where that is in the track, and I want to just barely nip off that line. So there's another straight line. At this point, this is the end I want to work with. I'm going to cut it down to the 4 inches, so that will give me that piece there. And now, friends, we'll just line up, get that last piece. These are now ready to cut down to 3 inches. We'll get these cut quickly, easily. My last one should be already at 3 inches, a hair less. It's fine. As I said, it's not going to make a difference. All right, we're going to get all of our pieces cut. All right, I have everything cut. Now, I actually broke mine down into 2 piles for you today because these are all of the new colors. And my quick and tip way for you to have all that cardstock so that you can layer it is by purchasing the new core colors, all right? This package is going to have 2 of each of all of the core colors, so 22 pieces. That does not include the in colors. That's a separate pack, but we're going to focus on those new core colors. So let's open this fabulous package, and you see that gorgeous lemon lolly. Isn't it so pretty? We are going to start, I'll start with the lemon lolly. We're going to start with 1 piece, and we want to cut this in half at 4 1/4. So I want the 8 1/2 up here at the top. We will cut that to 4 1/4. That's going to be a great card base. So there's a reason I wanted to cut it that way. I'm now going to take this piece. We're going to cut this down to 3 1/4 inch. All right, that's going to allow me, let me find my lemon lolly. And you can see that's going to adhere right onto my cardstock. That lets me see. I want to be able to see that color because, you know, printers can't always nail the color the way we want. So we're going to repeat that now with all of these pieces of cardstock. I now have pieces I can work with for layering and different things, but I know I have 1 piece I get to use as a card base, and you do get 2 sheets of everything. So not to worry about cutting into that assorted pack. I've got plenty to work with. Now, bubble bath, I think my new favorite pink I've ever seen. So 4 1/4 by 3 1/4, and I can layer my next one. Guys, I'm just going to do this with all of my cardstock. All right, we have all of our color coach pieces attached to their matching cardstock. How you want to organize these is entirely up to you. You might want to put all your blues together. You might want to keep it, you see down here it says brights, neutrals. You could keep them together that way. I'm going to let you guys decide what you find works best. But now that we have these cards, what are we going to do with them? I'm going to show you a really great storage box
so that you'll have your color coach at your fingertips whenever you need it.
Now that we have our color coach pieces created, it's now time to create the box. But hey, before I get to that, I want to let you know that you can get those color coach pieces, that printout. You can find that free download at simplysimplestamping.com, or just look down in the YouTube description for a direct link. Not only are you going to get the color coach pieces itself, you're going to get all the measurements and all the measurements for the box I'm about to show you as well. So everything you need is going to be right there in that download, and that is free to you at simplysimplestamping.com. All right, my friends, now let's create a box.
So I have a piece of Moody Mauve, and this is cut 6 inches by 6.5 inches. And then I have another piece, and this is a 4 by 4.25. And along the 4.25, I scored it in half at 2 1/8. That's going to be the base of my box. Now we're going to create the box. So I'm going to set my little base off to the side, and I want to show you how we're going to score this piece. And guys, I do have a diagram to make it nice and easy for you. I'm going to bring in my paper trimmer with my scoring blade. You could also do this on your Simply Scored board as well. Either one is going to work great. So I'm going to put the 6.5 inches up at the top, and I can easily see that's my 6.5 inches. And what I want to do is I want to score this at 1.5 inches. That is my cutting blade. Let's make sure that is far, far away, because we don't want to cut. We want to score at 1.5 inches. Let's rotate the cardstock around, and we're going to do 1.5 inches here on the other side. Now we're going to put that 6 inches up at the top. Oh, let's get that right. We are going to now score at 2 1/4 inch, rotate it around, and we're going to score again at 2 1/4 inch. Guys, that's all we need to do as far as the scoring. Now we're going to do a little bit of cutting. And I know it's probably a little difficult for you to see my score lines, but there are 2 score lines right here, and there's a little square. I want to cut right along that score line up to the next one, okay? That score line that's running perpendicular. So we will cut like that. Can you see there's that little square? Let's repeat that on the other side. And then we're going to take these little squares, and the only thing I want you to be doing any cutting on are these squares. We're going to do what I like to call mitering. So let me rotate this around. Can you see how I just want to kind of pull a little bit off of this? So I'm going to cut from the inside of that square up to that outside corner. And you can see it's just going to kind of cut out just a little triangular piece. I'm going to do that on the other side. This isn't going to show, so don't worry if it's not perfect. That's not going to be a problem. It will be hidden. I'm going to repeat that here on the other side. There's no right or wrong to how much you miter off. It's just going to take a little bit of bulk out for me. All right, guys, this is ready to put together. I'm going to grab a bone folder, and I want to give all of my score lines a really nice crease. I love creating boxes. I just think it's amazing how we can take a flat piece of paper and turn it into a pretty awesome box. I love that. I'm actually going to use my multi-purpose glue. And the first thing I want to do is I want to adhere this tab, all right? These 2 tabs are going to go on the outside, all right? The outside of the box. Like I said, they will be hidden. I don't need a lot of adhesive here because it's going to be sandwiched in between my pieces of cardstock. So can you see how I'm just keeping my little box flat? Put that little tab right there. That's going to ensure that my box is nice, flat. We want these edges to go flat. Now we're going to take these outside tabs, and they're going to go right there. And now you can see we're just going to enclose that tab. That's going to make the inside of my box perfectly clean, because when we add our cards, I don't want to hit that tab. So that's going to be really useful for me. All right, to add this, I want to use the glue sparingly, but I do want to make sure I am right along the edges. That's going to be really important. that I'm right where I need to be. Let me do the same thing over here. This is the other reason I really like to use multi-purpose glue. It's very forgiving and allows me to work a little bit before it completely dries. But you are welcome to use your Stampin' Seal Plus, or you could also use tear and tape. Either one. All right, and you can see how those are just going to come right around. They're going to enclose that tab. A tip I have for you in giving this a good press is to take a couple of clear blocks and just put those in there. Let me flip it around. And again, that's just going to make sure everything is good and secure. Now this piece is kind of different. This is actually my base, and I wanted it to be thicker. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to adhere these two sides together. I'm not going to get too terribly worried about it. The outside edge is on the outside of the box, but that's going to kind of give me something a little bit sturdier. Here's my nice edge. There's my seam. There's my seam. So I want to adhere this down so that all those seams are towards the back. All right. And to do that, guess what? We're just going to put some glue right here on the bottom of our box. Again, tear and tape, Stampin' Seal Plus. You just want a really good strong adhesive. Again, I want to make sure my tabs are where they, or the folds are where they need to be. First, I'm just going to gently set that on there. I want to make sure I'm good from side to side, and I am coming back in with those clear blocks, and we can just give that box a good press, and that's going to create that perfect little stand for my cards. It's just going to help keep that from toppling over. But that's a little dull for me. How about you? I think it needs a little something. So I'm going to come in with some of the Daisy Designer Series paper. Sorry, that's Fresh as a Daisy Designer Series paper. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to center this up on the box. You know, my multi-purpose glue is here, so we're going to go for it. And I am going to put that right here. I'm not going up to the edge because you can see my Designer Series paper is going to sit right in between. And by the way, if you find it easier to not add your base yet, feel free. It's whatever works for you. And you know what? We're kind of just making it up as we go along, so I'm pretty good with that. I am going to give this a little fold right along that edge, all right? Just making sure I get a nice little crease. And we can add more glue here. I'm now going to repeat that here and here. And you can see this is just going to go all the way around my box and meet in the back, but it's the back. So let's go ahead and we're going to keep adding our glue. And you could also add it to the Designer Series paper if that works better for you. I love having a color coach, but let me tell you, I really love having a little box to store it in. I want to be able to get to it quickly, and I don't want those cards just laying on my desk going all over the place. All right, you can see how we're just going to keep adding our paper and creasing, so I will go ahead and finish this up. I'm going to put those blocks back in, and that just gives me that ability to give all of my paper a good crease. All right, that's looking really sweet. Let's do a little decorating. Well, I think the first thing that I'd like to do with this box is to add some ribbon. And this is a new color in here. This is Wild Wheat. Isn't that gorgeous? I'm just going to take this ribbon and I'm going to tie it in a knot. So you can decide, this is loose, so you can decide where you want it to go on your box. But now we're going to stamp, and we are going to die cut one of the daisies from the Fresh as a Daisy stamp set. There's two different ways that we can create the daisy. I've got a piece of Moody Mauve. This is a 2.5 by 3, and that's going to set, it'd be just the right size there for the largest daisy in the stamp set. Now, in advance, I did go ahead and create both daisies so that you could see them both and decide which one you like better. So this one, I came in with a white craft pad. All right, this is one we don't use very often, but it really is beautiful. So this is kind of a really sticky, it's a very thick ink. So it is just a little bit different. I'm just going to ink that up in that white craft ink. And what I liked about using that on this, do you see how it's just kind of a nice soft, it kind of reminded me of the daisy that was there in the paper. It's soft, it's muted. So that is one option. This one here, what I did is I did this exact same thing, and then I sprinkled it with the white embossing powder from the Basics White, and then I heat set that. And so that's what's going to give me that brighter white. Now, I should also clarify, if you don't have the white ink pad for this method, you can also use a Versamark ink pad. Either one of those ink pads will work if you're going to do the embossing. If you're new to embossing, let me show you how this works. You're going to need a heat tool. I'm going to turn this on for about 30 seconds and let it warm up. I'm going to hold the heat tool, about 6 inches or so away from my cardstock. And you just want to kind of keep moving it around. And here in just a few seconds, you're going to see that embossing powder go from this kind of dull white to a bright white. Do you see it melting? It is such a wow. I love doing heat embossing. And of course, this is a project that I'm going to keep out on my desk for a long time. So why not add that extra touch? Let that cool for just a couple minutes because this can smear. It's still very, very hot. So we're going to let that cool for just a minute. And now we're going to come in with a Moody Mauve ink pad. Let's stamp a center to our daisy. And now we're ready to come in with the matching dies and die cut it. As I said, either flower, I think they're both beautiful. I'm going to let you guys decide which one you want to do. I think, you know what, I'm kind of falling for this softer one. So not a problem. I'm going to save that for another project. But we're just going to attach this right here underneath our ribbon. We're going to do that with some Stampin' Dimensionals. All right, kind of get a feel for where your daisy is going to go. But you know, I think what's going to work best here is if I put my Stampin' Dimensionals right here onto the box itself, rather than trying to get it on the daisy. I think it's just going to be a little bit easier for me. So we'll remove the backings. We will add that daisy. I don't want it to come off the top of my box. Why? Because I'm going to be pulling these in and out a lot. I don't want to damage that daisy. So I think I'm going to leave it like that. I now have a fantastic box to use along with my fabulous color coach. And now whenever I need a color idea, I can just grab my base color that I want to work with, and I have 3 options right there waiting for me. Isn't that great? No more guessing on color. We've got you covered with the color coach. Fits right in there. Set that on your desk. Never worry about colors again.
If you liked today's project, I would love a thumbs up on YouTube. Thank you so much for that. And if you haven't subscribed, why not subscribe to the channel? I share twice a week here, and I'd love to have you join in. Hey, while you're at it, why not share it with a few crafty friends? You know, the more the merrier around here. Thank you again for being here. Go create your own little DIY color coach box. We'll see you on the next video, my friends. Bye-bye.